Hey everybody, it is Corey with Select Savory Snacks and Select Savory Seasonings. Wanted to come on this afternoon and go over why did we start with Biltong as one of our first snacks instead of other options that are on the markets. More specifically, why Biltong over Jerky? Well, honestly, my original goal was to start with Jerky. That's what I've known. That's what I understand. And so I thought, okay, let me go find somebody that can help produce a sugar free, healthy beef jerky. And in the process of trying to find that, I noticed that most, if not all, sugar free jerkies have a couple of things that turned me off to them, but I still consider the option. First of all, most of them that are truly sugar free and don't have any other ingredients that we don't care for are very, 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 very dry. I have bought a couple of different manufacturers, and they are very dry because beef jerky is actually cooked. Many times it's smoked, it's dehydrated, but it goes through some sort of cooking process, and as a result, the moisture just evaporates out. It becomes very tough and difficult to eat. When I tried it, I literally just stuck it in the corner of my mouth and let the saliva soften things up before I even tried to chew on it because it was so difficult to chew. Also, some of the other ones that are truly sugar free do have some ingredients that I personally don't care for. For example, soy sauce is one of the products that are used often in sugar free beef jerkies to help tenderize the meat because, again, the cooking process causes it to be less tender. And so they need to use some complex marinades in order to tenderize the beef. And in that process, I was able to talk to Dr. Sean Baker, and I had mentioned that I'm going to be starting Select Savory Snacks, and I want to get into offering sugar-free meat snacks for those who are looking for a sugar-free meat snack option, because it's something that's not really readily available out there in the marketplace. And his first comment was, "You need to look into Biltong. That's something that would be a better option as compared to going with beef jerky." So went ahead, got online, and started doing some research and realized, wow, biltong is a much better option than beef jerky is going to be. And started researching places that I can get it and manufacturers. And in the process, I come to find out what the differences are. First of all, biltong is not cooked as compared to beef jerky. Biltong is actually air dried. It's cut into thin strips. It is hung in a temperature and humidity controlled environment, and it is dried for a minimum of 7 days up to 14 days, depending upon what they're trying to get out of the meat. Whereas beef jerky, it's almost always cooked in some capacity. Many times it's smoked. Now, I love smoke flavor, don't get me wrong, I have a smoker, but that also tends to dry out the meat. Biltong, in most cases, has no sugar involved. You still have to read the ingredients label. There are some manufacturers out there. The company that we're working with does not do this, but there are some out there that use raisin juice concentrate as one of the ingredients, and they will actually put on there 0 carbs and 0 sugar per serving. But then when you look at the count on the entire bag, bag was 2.25 ounces, it'll actually say that there's 1 carb and 2 sugars. So it's not truly sugar free. If you're like myself and you're trying to get out of having sugar in your diet as much as possible, you're ingesting sugar with some of the biltong that's on the market. That's something that we're never going to do. There will not be any type of sugar in any of our products like that. So there's truly not just 0 grams of sugar. Technically speaking, there is no sugar. We're not using ingredients like a raisin juice concentrate that several other biltong manufacturers do use. Jerky in and of itself, if you can find a true sugar-free jerky, you're doing really well. There are a couple of them out there that I've seen in the grocery stores and so forth, but for the most case, sugar is one of the main ingredients in jerky, and that's why I decided I need to, again, launch Select Savory Snacks and to go with biltong specifically once I looked into it. The true 0 sugar brand jerkies out there, like I said, are either very dry or the ones that aren't dry have some extra ingredients that I don't care for. Again, you also have to read the ingredient label lists because one of the manufacturers out there, right on the front of the package in big bold letters, says 0 sugar. on the beef jerky. And then you flip the package over, and one of the ingredients is, lo and behold, pineapple juice powder. And then there's an asterisk next to it that says insignificant amount of, nutritionally insignificant amount of sugar. So legally they can put 0 sugar in big bold letters on the front of the package because their serving size is small enough that it says 0 sugar per ounce usually. When they test it out, because it's less than 0.5 grams, they can round it down to 0. So legally, they can put 0 sugar, despite the fact it says right on the back of the package there is sugar in our package. When you are looking at the package, something that says 0 sugar doesn't always have 0 sugar, so you want to take a step back and look at it. So our Biltong will always not just be 0 grams of sugar, but there will truly be no sugar of any kind in there. Biltong actually has a higher protein yield, so if you're like myself and trying to build muscle and exercise, it has a slightly higher protein yield as compared to beef jerky because the cooking process actually reduces the protein. Biltong has about 16 grams of protein per serving, per ounce. Biltong is naturally gluten-free. Again, a lot of the ingredients that they put into beef jerky, you're not going to get gluten-free beef jerky. And again, you still, even with Biltong, need to pay attention to the label because there's some manufacturers and sellers out there that still have some questionable ingredients. Biltong is naturally tender. The air drying process and the curing process is what does this. Unlike beef jerky that has to use marinades and so forth, Biltong is naturally more tender. A lot of people that have tried our Biltong are blown away with how much more tender it is than jerky. You don't have to tear into it with your teeth and about rip your teeth out to be able to get a piece to chew on for quite some time before you can finally eat it. Biltong is naturally tender, and again, most of that is coming from the curing process. Whereas beef jerky, it's generally very chewy in texture. It's much more difficult to eat, and that just comes as a result of the cooking process. Biltong, again, the vast majority uses simple, all-natural ingredients, and as compared to beef jerky, which uses very complex marinades. The drawback to that is, again, a lot of those ingredients are not healthy for us. They're not good for us. Whereas Biltong, generally, ours is using, for example, it's beef, vinegar, salt. I forgot the spices in particular. I think rosemary, some vinegar powder. It's all natural ingredients, so there are no questionable ingredients in there. There's no names in there that you can't pronounce also. So you're getting much healthier ingredients for your body. Looking for Biltong in Canada, yes, we can ship it to Canada, but of course the cost of shipping up into there is going to be higher because I'm shipping out of the States. However, as the company grows, my goal is to have a distribution in Canada, just to give you a heads up, but I don't have a time frame for that. How is Biltong made? So to give you a little greater overview, our Biltong specifically is sourced from the U.S. It is all USDA approved from the United States, from farmers and ranchers that are using traditional and natural farming methods. So we do our best to find farmers and ranchers that are taking care of their animals and so forth before we buy their meat. And then what happens is we take long strips of meat are cut and spiced with our seasonings and marinated using a modern, highly efficient and effective process, which ensures consistent absorption of our ingredients and flavors. And what we do is use a pressure system to help infuse the flavor and everything into there. And instead of allowing it to sit for days and days, the pressure system allows us to marinate a much faster process and then start the curing process quicker. Also, once the meat strips are cut, they're hung to dry in a custom-designed drying room with state-of-the-art energy-efficient drying equipment. And basically for 7 to 14 days, it's hanging. It's to dry out. And when that's done, after a minimum of 7 days, it's ready to go. It's taken down, it's sliced and packaged, and it is then sitting here waiting for you to come get some and enjoy the wonderful Biltong that we make. So that is basically the whys of Biltong as compared to beef jerky. I was going to start with jerky because that's what I always saw, that's what I always knew about and understood, and decided after talking to Dr. Baker to shift gears and to go into Biltong instead. I don't, at this point in time, have any plans on adding beef jerky. I do believe Biltong is a superior product. It's much healthier. It's much easier to make a tender, flavorful meat snack without the need of complex marinades and some questionable ingredients that a lot of other companies use. And as I mentioned, we're also not going to be using any ingredients that are actually sugar, despite the fact that whether the name is different, like powdered pineapple juice, which is still sugar, raisin juice concentrate, it's still sugar. And we're not going to use any ingredients like that. And we're not going to play the legal game of, well, it's truly 0 carbs and 0 sugar because our serving size is small enough. Actually, if you look at our package, it does say there is less than 1 gram of carb per serving, and that's because spices have carbohydrates in them. There's not much you can do about it. So there is a trace amount of carbs, but we're going to put that on there just so you understand. There are a little bit of carbs in there, but there truly is no sugar, whether that's as an ingredient or by fiddling with the label like a lot of people do. That's something we're never going to do. So that's a quick overview of why, we went with Biltong as compared to beef jerky. We are in the process of adding more products like a spicy Biltong. We're hoping to get that out here in the next couple of weeks. And we're also going to introduce Drovors, which is a beef sausage snack that is dried also. Another South African delight. And we've got a couple other things that we're going to work on later in the year as hopefully business picks up and we can then branch out into a couple of other things that we've got on the burner for our Select Savory Snacks. So thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot us a message at send us a DM on Facebook or Instagram. Send us an email at selectsavory@gmail.com, and we'll do what we can to help you out. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye.